Degenerative diseases. A degenerative disease is a type of a medical condition that causes a tissue or organ to deteriorate or to collapse over time due to natural aging process. The figure here shows an example of a degenerative disease, which is degenerative arthritis. This disease has symptoms like pain and inflammation in the joints. So, people suffering from arthritis, they will have pain and inflammation in their joints. This is common in people around the age of 70, but it can occur sooner than that if the person has family members having this condition. So it has a genetic cause. And if the person has excessive use of the joints, for example, in obese people, because people with extra weight put, or the extra weight will put pressure on their knees, on their joints, raising the arthritis risk. So this disease has two causes, genetic cause, okay, and another cause if the person is using this tissue or this organ in an excessive way, like in obese people. Now let's talk about metabolic diseases. These diseases, they result from an error in a biochemical pathway, so that some metabolic diseases result in the inability to regulate body processes, like regulating the level of glucose in blood, as an example. So example is diabetes, specifically type 2 diabetes. In type 2 diabetes, the pancreas doesn't make the proper amount of insulin. So, the pancreas doesn't make the proper amount of insulin. You know that insulin is needed to allow glucose to enter and penetrate the body cells, plus to take the extra glucose to be stored where? In the liver. Now, if insulin is not produced, or the pancreas is not making the proper amounts needed of insulin, so glucose cannot enter the body cells normally. So it will be left in the bloodstream, and this will lead to high glucose levels in the bloodstream, leading to type 2 diabetes. The figure here shows type 2 diabetes. In the first image here, we see that glucose is shown as white circles. In blue we have insulin, and this is a body cell. So normally in healthy individuals, insulin helps the glucose to penetrate the cell so that the cell can use the glucose as energy. While in type 2 diabetes, glucose cannot enter the cell. So we will have as a result high levels of glucose in the bloodstream. Note that metabolic disorders like type 2 diabetes have a genetic cause and an environmental cause. Now, genetic cause, why? Because a mutation in any gene involved in controlling glucose levels can increase your risk of type 2 diabetes. You know, diabetes runs in families, so it has a genetic cause. It has also environmental factors such as diet, being overweight, not exercising, eating excess calories. All this can lead to having this type of diabetes. Okay, now let's talk about cancer. Cancer is an abnormal cell growth. So usually or normally, we have certain regulatory molecules. These regulatory molecules, as the name implies, these are molecules that regulate and control. Okay, what do they control? They control the beginning and the end of the cell cycle. Okay, so the cell cycle, while the cell divides, all these stages are controlled by regulatory molecules. Now, if this control is lost, the cell is dividing in an uncontrollable way. This will lead to abnormal cell growth. In other name, it will lead to cancer or tumor, as the one shown in this figure. So this can happen in any place in the body, okay, based on where did this or where did these cells grow abnormally. So cancer can develop in any body tissue or organ, including the blood cells. When it happens or when it takes place in blood cells, this type of cancer is called leukemia. So cancer have many causes. Okay, this pie chart shows the causes of cancer. Let us look together. So we have diet, tobacco smoking, okay, viral causes, work environment, environmental pollution, alcohol, okay, and other causes. Okay, and we can see here that also genetics or genes can lead to cancer. So we can say here that it has genetic causes and environmental causes. So both genetic and environmental factors have been shown to cause cancer. Inflammatory diseases. Let's talk now about inflammatory diseases. Okay. Inflammatory diseases are diseases in which the body produces an inflammatory response to a common substance. Usually, the body will produce an inflammatory response in response to pathogens, in response to strangers, to invaders that invade the body. Now, in this case, in inflammatory diseases, the body is producing an inflammatory response to common substances present in the environment, like dust, like pollen, like skin flakes from animals, etc. Okay, so we're talking here about allergies. Certain individuals might have an abnormal reaction to environmental antigens. So people that are allergic to dust, allergic to pollen, allergic to peanuts, okay, they are individuals that are having an abnormal reaction in their body, an inflammatory response in their body, okay, to environmental antigens or common substances that are commonly present in the environment. These antigens are called allergens. Why are they called allergens? Because they lead to allergies. So the substance that causes the allergy is called an allergen. Allergens include things such as plant pollen, dust mites, animal danders, latex, okay, substances that are present in balloons and in gloves, okay, and peanut. Let's have a fast look at the symptoms for allergy. So allergy symptoms can be, okay, rash, red pimples on the skin, okay, sneezing, runny nose, okay, red eyes, itching, and tears coming out from the eyes. These symptoms are the result of a chemical called histamine that is released by certain white blood cells. So, in allergic people, when they get exposed to allergens, common substances like pollen, like dust, etc., their body releases a chemical called histamine. This substance is released from which cells? From white blood cells in their body. So the release of this substance will lead to the symptoms we have here. Okay, how can they be treated? By antihistamines. So antihistamines medication or antihistamine medications can help alleviate some of these symptoms. So this helps them in relieving these symptoms. So again, these are the common allergens that cause allergy in these individuals. Okay, this is the table that you have in the book. Allergens are dust mite. These are usually found in mattresses, pillows, carpets, and usually mites and their feces. Usually people are allergic or people are allergic to dust mites. They are allergic to mites and their feces. Okay, allergens also can be like plant pollen. Usually in spring we have pollen seasons in spring or late fall. Yeah. Animal dander. What are animal dander? Dander is a skin flakes, parts of the skin of animals like cats, dogs, okay, pets, birds, etc. Other people are allergic to peanut and others are allergic to latex. And as we said, it is the substance that they use in making balloons and surgical gloves. Okay, now certain individuals they develop severe allergic reactions that can lead to more severe symptoms than the ones we just mentioned. So they can be severe allergic to certain allergens, and this can result in anaphylactic shock, something called anaphylactic shock, which cause a massive release of histamine. So usually in common allergy, the white blood cells release histamine, while in anaphylactic shock, the body will release a massive amount of histamine, a great, huge amount of histamine. This will lead to anaphylactic shock, severe allergy. Now, what happens in anaphylactic shock? The smooth muscles in the bronchioles contract, which restricts the airflow into and out of the lungs. So, the smooth muscles in the lungs and in the bronchioles inside the lungs, they start to contract. Because of their contraction, okay, there is a thickening in the smooth muscle in the airways of the lungs. So this will restrict the flow of air into and out of the lungs. So you see in normal individuals, the smooth muscles of the airways inside the lungs are wide. The smooth muscles are not contracting, they are relaxed, and the area here is wider. While in case of anaphylactic shock, okay, the smooth muscles contract, the smooth muscles of the airways contract, so there is a thickening in the smooth muscles, and thus we have narrower area here, narrow area. So this will restrict the flow of air into and out of the lungs. Of course, this is life-threatening. So usually people who are extremely sensitive to allergens like bee stings, like penicillin, the antibiotic, okay, and like latex, okay, require medical treatment if exposed to these agents because anaphylactic reactions are life-threatening, so they have to get medical treatment. Now let's talk about autoimmunity. Usually during the development of the immune system learns not to attack or not to fight proteins produced by the body. So usually the immune system learns to attack foreigners, foreign bodies, strangers, invaders, pathogens, strange antigens, while it learns not to attack proteins produced by the body or antigens present on self cells. On our cells, we have proteins or antigens. Okay, so the body learns that these proteins are self. They belong to the body. So the immune system learns, okay, not to fight these proteins. However, some people develop autoimmunity, and as the word implies, autoimmunity, so their own immune system fights their own body, so that their body form antibodies to their own proteins which injures their cells. So their body will form, okay, their body will form antibodies to their own proteins which injures their cells. Examples are rheumatoid arthritis, which is the first example. So as we said, in autoimmunity, the body will form antibodies that will fight its own tissues. So in rheumatoid arthritis, antibodies of the same body attack the joints in the same body. So as a result, we will have rheumatoid arthritis. So the same antibodies of the same body attack the joints. Okay, so this will lead to rheumatoid arthritis. Another example is rheumatic fever. In rheumatic fever, the antibodies attack the valves of the heart. You know, in the heart, we have valves. These valves, they control the passage of the blood in the chambers of the heart. So, in case of rheumatic fever, the antibodies, they attack the valves, leading to the damage of the valves of the heart. Of course, in this case, the flow of the blood in the heart will not be controlled, and of course, the valves will not close as needed, and the blood may leak from the valves. So this will lead to a problem in the heart that is, of course, life-threatening. The third example is lupus. In lupus, the antibodies of the same body attack healthy tissues so that any tissue or any organ will be vulnerable to attack, will be prone to be attacked by body's own immune system. So the antibodies will attack organs and tissues and will lead to this disease.